Chap 171. Supreme Buddha, impossible to cultivate. Silencio was angry for a while before beginning to talk about serious matters. I came to find you because I wanted to ask if you wanted to travel the demon realm together. The reason why the Black Fox Demon Emperor was able to rise is that he obtained the help of the demon realm. It's also a mortal world, but one ruled by demons. If the two of us join forces, we will definitely be able to massacre the demon realm. At that time, all the resources will belong to you and me. This is also the request of the immortal God who came to me in my dreams. The heavenly court and the demons are irreconcilable, Silencio said in a low voice. After knowing about Yang San and Taoist Juyin, Silencio began to doubt the heavenly court. Hanju shook his head and said, "Go ahead. I'm too strong. If I make a move, you won't have anything to do." Silencio, he felt insulted. However, when he thought of the previous battle, he had to admit it. The difference in strength between the two was indeed huge. Hanju reminded, "Be careful. There are also demon factions in the upper world. If you can obtain the instructions of the heavenly court's immortals, the demon realm might have arrangements from the demons in the upper world. As a pawn, you can't be careless." The word pawn pierced Silencion's heart. However, after calming down, he also began to suspect something. In his dream, he had asked that immortal god for help, asking the heavenly court not to do anything to their mortal world. However, the immortal god said that the heavenly emperor had already made his decision. He couldn't interfere. From the looks of it, had he been played, the more Silencio thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. Other than this, is there anything else? Hanju asked. Silencio said, "Our Manor Lord has invited you to be the deputy Manor Lord. Are you willing?" Hanju shook his head. Silencio was disappointed. 5 minutes later, Silencio left and Hanju returned to the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain. The Jade Pure Sacred sect was still in an uproar. The battle just now was too exciting, and they were finding it difficult to calm down. Hanju ignored Yang Tiandong and the others and returned to the connate cave abode. He began to think. The mid-stage of the reincarnation Earth Immortal Realm. He actually didn't insta-kill the late-stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal Yang San. This was a huge problem, apart from Sword Dao. He felt that he had to increase the strength of his dermic powers. Hanju pondered as he cultivated. 7 years passed. Quickly. A line of words appeared in front of Hanju, who was cultivating. Giant spiritual martial god has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points. For stars, Hanju was stunned. Wasn't it a favorable impression earlier? Why did it suddenly become hatred? Hanju immediately checked the martial god's information. Giant spiritual martial god. Perfected Grand Unity Heaven Immortal Realm. 4th grade Heavenly General. Because you killed his subordinate, Yang San, he has developed hatred towards you and thinks that you are too arrogant. When the heavenly court cleans up the mortal world, he will definitely teach you a lesson. Current hatred points. For stars, I see, perfected Grand Unity Heaven Immortal Realm. That was quite impressive. Hanju felt the pressure. For this, he immediately took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing the giant spiritual martial god. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, 20 years passed. Hanju was already very close to the late stage of the reincarnation Earth Immortal Realm. On this day, a line of words appeared in front of him. Detected bearer of connate Providence, check its origin. After so many years, he finally met another person with connate Providence. Curious, Hanju immediately chose to check. Chushuren, 8th level of the Qi refinement realm. The reincarnation of the Supreme Buddha of the immortal world. In order to experience the suffering of the mortal world, the Supreme Buddha reincarnated into the mortal world. Due to the Buddha's immense providence, Chushuren is extremely talented, and his providence is not inferior to that of the children of heaven and earth. As he grew up in a Taoist temple, he has a benevolent heart and hates evil. He does not pursue cultivation and hopes to use his mortal body to enlighten the people. Under the guidance of the Buddha in his dreams, he came to the Jade Pure Sacred sect. His original intention is to promote the great kindness Dermic Tao in the cultivation sect. Reincarnation of the revered Supreme Buddha, Hanju was shocked. He noticed that the reason why Chushuren came to the Jade Pure Sacred Sect was that he was guided by the Buddha in his dreams. What was the meaning of this? The Buddhists of the immortal world noticed him. Were they deliberately sending spies? Or was the Buddhist sect here for the reincarnated Sun Chang'an? Hanju was very cautious. I can't accept this kid. He pretended not to see it. Then, Hanju closed his eyes and continued cultivating Jade Pure Sacred Sect. Heavenly Thunder Peak, Ayane Hall. The coaching elder of Heavenly Thunder Peak was frowning at a man. This man was none other than the reincarnated Supreme Buddha. Chushuren wore a Taoist robe and looked young and handsome. He had an optimistic and cheerful smile on his face. The coaching elder said helplessly, "You've been in the sect for 5 years and have yet to reach the foundation establishment realm. With your talent, you shouldn't be like this. What do you usually do?" In the current Jade Pure Sacred Sect, one only had the right to enter the inner sect after reaching the Golden Core realm. His exception to recruit Chushuren had already caused the disciples of the Heavenly Thunder Peak to criticize him. Back then, it was the coaching elder who led Chushuren into cultivation. In 7 days, he cultivated from 0 to the 4th level of the Chi Refinement realm. Such talent was simply unheard of. It was precisely because of this that the coaching elder had made an exception to take Chushuren as his personal disciple. He had originally wanted to give the sect a surprise, but he didn't expect it to become his nightmare. This disciple actually doesn't like to cultivate. Yes. He didn't like it. Damn it, if you don't like it, why did you acknowledge me as your master? The coaching elder had a headache. He had forgotten that he was the one who insisted on taking in Chushuren as his disciple. Chushuren smiled and said, "Master, you know my ambitions. I think spirit energy is the greatest obstacle to the development of peace. Therefore, it's impossible for me to cultivate." Impossible to cultivate, the coaching elder almost died of anger. "I should really send you to the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain and let the deity slaying elder change your personality." The coaching elder snorted. Chushuren had been to the Jade Pure Sacred Sect for a period of time and had naturally heard of the legend of the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain. He asked curiously, "Master, what kind of person is the deity slaying elder?" He was very curious about this elder. As the strongest cultivator in the entire sect, the deity slaying elder rarely showed himself. He didn't touch power or cause trouble. He didn't want women and only attacked when the sect was facing a calamity. In his opinion, this was a saint. He felt that understanding the deity slaying elder would help him consolidate the great Tao he wanted, equality of all life. How would I know? I've been in the sect for so long, but I've never seen him before. The coaching elder snorted. This was the truth. He had only entered the sect for a few hundred years. Chushuren asked, "Why does the world insist on pursuing longevity? Is longevity really good? With the inherent bad nature of people, if everyone lives forever, how can the world withstand it?" Hearing his question, the coaching elder felt a headache. He said angrily, "Not everyone can live forever. Longevity is only a legend. People cultivate to fight against the heavens. Has the heavens mistreated the world? Get lost. Master, let me give you a piece of advice. It's best not to cultivate anymore. You and I can promote peace together. If you don't get lost, I'll expel you from the sect." "All right." Chushuren sighed and left in disappointment. The coaching elder was really envious of his talent. Otherwise, he wouldn't have spoiled him like this. However, there was something wrong with Chushuren's mind. Should I send him to the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain for a period of time? This thought appeared in the coaching elder's mind. Chap 172. 1,000 years old, 3 choices after Hanju learned that the reincarnation of the Supreme Buddha had come to the Jade Pure Sacred Sect, another 10 years passed. His cultivation had already broken through to the late stage of the reincarnation Earth Immortal Realm a few years ago. He cultivated with all his heart. His goal was to break through to the perfected reincarnation Earth Immortal Realm. On this day, Taoist 9 Cauldrons came. Hanju let him in. The two of them exchanged pleasantries, but Taoist 9 Cauldrons was a little embarrassed. "What is it? Just say it." Hanju smiled. Daoist 9 Cauldrons coughed and said, "It's like this. The elders feel that this mountain is very big and vast. Can we let the 18 peaks each choose an outstanding disciple to cultivate here? We will definitely not disturb your cultivation." "I wonder." "No," Hanju rejected calmly. Without waiting for him to continue, Hanju said meaningfully, "Although the sect often gives resources to the cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain, the spirit chi on this mountain mainly comes from the tree outside the cave. It's not convenient for me to reveal its origins. If I open this door today, more people will come in the future. This is not good for me." Daoist 9 Cauldrons frowned. How many times had Hanju saved the Jade Pure Sacred Sect? No one had contributed more to the sect than him. They owed him more in comparison. If Hanju wanted to rebel, the 9 Dragons sect led by Huang Zuantian and the Bloodfire Heavenly sect led by Lu Bumi would immediately switch allegiance to him. Everyone knew who the greatest pillar of the Jade Pure Sacred sect was. Daoist 9 Cauldrons also knew very well. He sighed and said, "Actually, I know that very well. It's just that those elders often say that and I'm tired of hearing them. The next time they mention it, I'll directly reject them." Hanju nodded and said, "Sect Master, don't focus so much on the sect. You have to spend time cultivating. How far the Jade Pure Sacred sect can go depends on your cultivation level." Daoist 9 Cauldrons smiled and nodded. Hanju thought for a moment and waved his right hand. Cultivation techniques and spell scrolls appeared on the table. These were all the resources he'd seized from his enemy's storage rings, and this was just the batch of lower quality methods. "Bring this back to the sect," Hanju said, stunned. Daoist 9 Cauldrons hurriedly started reading. Soon, he was shocked. These cultivation techniques. He turned to look at Hanju and said excitedly, "Thank you, Elder Han. I won't let anyone disturb you in the future." Hanju smiled and nodded. After Daoist 9 Cauldrons left, Hanju continued cultivating. Soon, the disciples of the Jade Pure Sacred sect discovered that many cultivation techniques with terrifying prices had appeared in the cultivation technique building. There were even ways to become an immortal. The entire sect was in an uproar. After that, even if some elders had designs on the cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain, they would be scolded by Daoist 9 Cauldrons. 3 years later, Hanju stopped cultivating and took out the Book of Misfortune. While cursing, he checked his emails. "Your grand disciple Feng Liang was sent to the demon realm by your enemy, the Black Fox Demon Emperor. Your good friend Ji Xianchen was attacked by demon beasts, X189221. Your good friend Imo Fuzhou was attacked by demon beasts, X107234. Your good friend Zhou Fan received a fortuitous encounter and obtained an ancient mighty figure's inheritance. Your Dao companion Xing Hongxian was attacked by demon beasts, X8653. Your grand disciple Morong Qi was attacked by demon beasts, X14780. Your grand disciple Morong Qi was attacked by a demon saint and was severely injured. Your grand disciple Morong Qi has awakened his innate mystical power. His cultivation has increased greatly and his bloodline has begun to transform. They were in danger all the way. The cultivation world was really dangerous. He wasn't worried about his disciples. As for Xing Hongxian, Fairy Xixin, and Changyuer, he was even less worried. All 3 of them had a heavenly puppet. Hanju was very curious. With Ji Xianchen's strength, if he found the Black Fox Demon Emperor, the latter would definitely die. Why was the Black Fox Demon Emperor still alive? Hanju couldn't figure it out and couldn't be bothered to think about it. This was a tribulation to the mortal world. It didn't concern him. Did he have to personally kill all the demons and fiendish cultivators? Half a year later, Hanju was about to continue cultivating when he suddenly thought of Chu Shuren. Wonder how this kid is doing recently. After all, he was the reincarnation of the revered Supreme Buddha. His identity was even more exaggerated than Morong Qi's. It was impossible for Hanju to forget. Checked Chu Shuren's information and discovered that his cultivation level was still at the 8th level of Qi Refinement Realm. After so many years, his cultivation level had not increased at all. How could he be as talented as stated? Hanju was secretly puzzled but couldn't be bothered to think about it. 5 years passed before the cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain. Shushuren came to the stone tablet and joined the kneeling group. After so many years, there were still disciples kneeling at the foot of the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain. New and old replaced each other, and there were always people hoping to move Hanju with sincerity. Shushuren silently knelt down and started to kowtow. I hope that deity-slaying elder can agree to my great kindness Dermic Dao. We can give up cultivating and reform the entire sect. Shushuren thought. In a huge stone hall, the Black Fox Demon Emperor sat on a throne made of white bones. He had transformed into a human and had a demonic and cold expression. He had a head of white hair and 6 huge black-furred fox tails behind him. They swayed wantonly and stirred up waves. The Black Fox Demon Emperor sized up a man in the hall mockingly. It was Suchi. Suchi half knelt in the hall with his head lowered. Why are you seeking refuge with me? The Black Fox Demon Emperor asked. Suchi was currently at the body integration realm. The Black Fox Demon Emperor naturally had to personally meet such a powerful cultivator. Suchi looked up and replied, I hate the human race. My parents died when I was young. I've been roaming among the human race for many years and have always been attacked. I don't want to attract attention, but people keep provoking me. The greed of the human cultivators is too great. In order to obtain treasures, they can even abandon their so-called morals. The Black Fox Demon Emperor nodded. He said hatefully, humans always preach that demons eat them, that demons are unforgivable, that demons are all evil. But in fact, the number of demons slaughtered by humans far exceeds those of humans eaten by demons. The Black Fox Demon Emperor found Suchi more and more pleasing to the eye, but he had yet to let down his guard. You want to join me? What do you want? And what can you do for me? The Black Fox Demon Emperor narrowed his eyes and asked. Suchi replied, I don't need anything. I just need a place where I can cultivate in peace. I'll cultivate near you and not be disturbed. If you're in danger, I'll definitely do my best to save you. The Black Fox Demon Emperor shook his head and laughed. If he really encountered an enemy he could not defeat, could a mere body integration realm cultivator help? He's a body integration realm cultivator, after all. It'll be easier for me to unite the human race in the future with him around. The Black Fox Demon Emperor's eyes flickered as he thought to himself. He was very ambitious. Not only did he want to unite the demons, but he also wanted to unify the human race and become the master of the mortal world. Several years later, 4 lines of words suddenly appeared in front of Hanju, who was cultivating. Detected that you are already 1,000 years old and your life has taken another step forward. Because you have kept to your true nature and have been cultivating in a low profile, you have the following choices. 1. Get a random physique. 2. Randomly activate a new function of the system. 3. Obtain a supreme treasure. Hanju raised his eyebrows. It was indeed beneficial to keep a low profile, but what should he choose? Hanju's cultivation potential was the spiritual physique of the 6 paths. It was indeed very helpful in terms of cultivation speed, but he felt that it was not enough. Looking at Ji Xianchen and Zhou Fan, their physiques sounded domineering. The new function of the system was also worth looking forward to. According to the previous functions, the system's functions couldn't directly make Hanju stronger or save his life. They were all support-based abilities. As for the third option, Hanju ignored it. Chap 173. Opening the Dao Field, perfected reincarnation Earth Immortal Realm. He hesitated for a long time before finally choosing the second option. A new function of the system. You have chosen to activate a new function of the system. Congratulations on activating the Dao Field function. Dao Field, choose a location as your Dao Field. It has functions such as defense, divine sense perception blocking, increased spirit chi, and others. The upper limit of each function is based on the cultivation of the Dao Field Lord. The higher the cultivation, the stronger the Dao Field is. Dao Field, a strengthened form of barrier. Not only that, the increase in spirit chi was quite impressive. Overjoyed, Hanju directly chose the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain to open the Dao Field. He ascended in the future, he would definitely bring the cultivate diligently become immortal mountain with him. A line of words appeared in front of him. You have successfully opened the Tao field. The Tao field can currently defend against all attacks below the Grand Unity Heaven Immortal Realm. It can block the divine sense of those below the deity realm. It can block the heavenly Tao. The spirit chi has increased by 5 times and the immortal chi has increased by 2 times. Hanju widened his eyes. So impressive, he was totally overpowered now. What did it mean by blocking the heavenly Tao? Was it equivalent to the heaven evading stone? By blocking the heavenly Tao, you will not be affected by the rules of the heavenly Tao, including forced ascension. In that case, Hanju could nurture all his disciples to become immortals. When the time came, they would ascend together. All his disciples and grand disciples reached the peak of their previous lives. How strong would they be? Hanju suppressed his excitement and guessed, could it be that by persevering and persisting in my Tao heart, I will constantly be rewarded by the system? At the same time, under the Fusong tree. Tu Linger opened her eyes and asked curiously, do you feel that the spirit chi is increasing? The black hell chicken harumphed. Is it that rare? The gourd vine has already formed seeds. Tu Linger felt that it made sense. Young Tiandong couldn't help but look at the connate cave abode. He had a feeling that it was definitely his master's doing. In the following period of time, they were pleasantly surprised to find that the speed at which the spirit chi increased became faster and faster. In less than a month, the density of the spirit chi was at least 5 times that of before. Everyone on the mountain was very excited, including Hanju. With double the immortal chi, Hanju's cultivation speed would also double. In the blink of an eye, another 15 years passed. Hanju successfully broke through to the perfected reincarnation Earth Immortal Realm. Awesome. After breaking through, Hanju was excited. Next was the reincarnation Heaven Immortal Realm. At that time, even if the giant spiritual martial god personally descended, Hanju wouldn't be afraid. Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and started to celebrate. At the same time. At the foot of the Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain, a middle-aged man kowtowed while trembling. It was Chushuren. After kneeling for 20 years, Chushuren was on the verge of collapse. However, he was very stubborn. The more Hanju didn't accept him, the more he wanted to kneel here. He believed in one thing. If he was sincere, it would work. During this period, his master, the Heavenly Thunder Peak's coaching elder, had come to visit him many times. If not for that, Chushuren would have died long ago. His experiences were also widespread in the sect, kneeling from a young man to a middle-aged man. This willpower was stunning. In order to keep kneeling, Chushuren had no choice but to cultivate. The spirit chi at the foot of the Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain was also very abundant, causing his cultivation to reach the first level of the Foundation Establishment Realm. After breaking through to the Foundation Establishment Realm, he stopped cultivating. This was his principle. He wouldn't cultivate if he didn't have to. He also attracted the attention of Yang Tiandong, Tu Linger, and the 3-headed Wyrm King. This brat is really going all out. The 3-headed Wyrm King clicked his tongue in wonder. Tu Linger shook her head and said, not only is he hardworking, it only took him a month to break through from the 8th level of Chi Refinement Realm to the Foundation Establishment Realm. Such talent was ridiculous. She had never heard of such talent even in the heavenly immortal manner. With such talent, why didn't Master accept him? Yang Tiandong's eyes lit up. He had finally found one. This guy was even more talented than Feng Liang and Morong Qi. Yang Tiandong immediately stood up and went to visit Hanju. After entering the cave abode, he knelt in front of Hanju and talked about Chushuren. Hanju had a strange expression. It only took him a month to reach the Foundation Establishment Realm from the 8th level of Chi Refinement Realm. That was a little absurd. Hanju hesitated, was afraid of the Supreme Buddha's identity. But if the Buddhist sect really targeted him and he kept rejecting them, he would probably offend them. The mighty Buddha had knelt before him for 20 years. Was this sincere enough? What am I afraid of? I've even recruited the Divine Palace War God, the Demon Saint, and the Golden Crows. Why should I be afraid of the Buddhists? Hanju thought silently. If the Buddhists were enemies, he should have received a notification of hatred points, then go accept him. Hanju said casually. Yang Tiandong was pleasantly surprised. He hurriedly thanked Hanju and left quickly. Dao Comprehension's sword curled her lips. When will it be my turn? Some female disciples were also kneeling at the foot of the mountain. She had thought about it when she saw Yang Tiandong accepting a disciple. Hanju said calmly, taking in a disciple depends on cultivation potential. All right, I hope that my precious disciple will appear soon. Dao Comprehension's sword had a look of anticipation. Hanju shook his head and laughed. He suddenly thought of something and smiled mysteriously. Perhaps your disciple has already appeared. Dao Comprehension's sword's beautiful eyes widened. She hurriedly asked, where? On the Fusong tree. Golden Crow? Are you worthy? Who is that? The Black Hell Chicken? The Chaotic Heavenly Dog? Will they agree? True. The seed of the earth immortal gourd vine. Dao Comprehension's sword was stunned before coming to a realization. Her true form was the heaven and earth grass. If she could transform, why couldn't the seeds of the earth immortal gourd, which had a greater background, do so? On the mountain road, young Tiandong helped Chu Shuren up the mountain. After kneeling for 20 years, Chu Shuren's legs trembled as he walked. Chu Shuren forced a smile while young Tiandong was very excited. He had finally accepted a disciple. He was already looking forward to the scene of Chu Shuren fighting Feng Liang and Morong Qi alone. In the future, you will be my first disciple. Cultivate well and don't disappoint me. Yang Tiandong smiled. Chu Shuren frowned and said, cultivate? Impossible. I'll never cultivate in my life. I want to become the deity-slaying elder's disciple and persuade him to give up cultivating and pursue the great kindness Dermic Dao together. Yang Tiandong almost tripped. What the heck? Impossible to cultivate. Yang Tiandong really wanted to leave Chu Shuren behind. However, on second thought, with the abundant spirit chi in the cultivate diligently become immortal mountain, this kid would definitely not be able to resist cultivating in the future. He didn't cultivate. What could he do on the mountain? When can I see the deity slaying? Grandmaster? Chu Shuren asked expectantly. The deity-slaying elder took the lead in giving up on cultivation. The Jade Pure Sacred Sect would definitely follow. Let's see how you perform. Young Tiandong was very dissatisfied. This disciple wasn't close towards him at all. In the dark world, the ground was covered in demon beast corpses. Bloody mist filled the world. Feng Liang held a sword and knelt on a mountain of corpses. He gasped for breath. His face covered in blood. He looked up with difficulty and saw a mighty figure in the sky. It was Ji Xianchen. Ji Xianchen was also looking at him. Their eyes met, and their gazes were quite similar. What's your name? What sect are you from? Ji Xianchen asked condescendingly. Feng Liang took a deep breath and said, Ji Xianchen, I know you, the #1 prodigy of the heavenly immortal manner. Hearing this, the corners of Ji Xianchen's mouth curled up even more. Chap 174. Reincarnation Heaven Immortal Realm, Sword God Emperor O? Since you've heard of me, it means that you're from the same world as me. Take me as your master. Your potential is very good. I can make you second in the world. Ji Xianchen said proudly. He had only helped Feng Liang because he saw that he was talented. Feng Liang wiped the blood off his face and smiled with difficulty. You're the #1 in the world? Are you serious? Ji Xianchen frowned, feeling a little panicked. The news of him losing to Hanju had not spread. How did this person know? I'm from the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. You've looked for my grandmaster several times. Have you forgotten? Feng Liang asked with a smile. Ji Xianchen was moved. Endless embarrassment and anger occupied his heart. You are Guan Cao Cao's grand disciple? Ji Xianchen asked in shock. That's right. Previously, you looked for my grandmaster. I saw it on the Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain. You, at this moment, Ji Xianchen suddenly had the urge to silence them. However, Feng Liang was Hanju's grand disciple. He couldn't do anything to him. In the entire world, only Cao Cao was his good and close friend. The two of them had agreed to fight Heavenly Court together. With such a relationship, Feng Liang could be considered his grand junior, haha, so that's how it is. Fellow Taoist Chao's grand disciple is indeed not simple. Since I'm close friends with your grandmaster, why don't we travel the demon realm together? If you die here, fellow Taoist Chao will also be sad. Ji Xianchen laughed and landed behind Feng Liang, using his spirit energy to heal him. Feng Liang said, actually, I was once a disciple of the heavenly immortal manner. My name is Feng Liang. Have you heard of me? Ji Xianchen replied, no. I've never bothered finding out about anyone in the heavenly immortal manner, nor do I care about the other disciples. How pretentious, Feng Liang complained inside. However, he was still very curious about Ji Xianchen was the number one in the world, even if that was only on the surface. 5 years later, Hanju forcefully broke through to the early stage of the reincarnation heaven immortal realm. His dermic powers surged, his soul was elevated. In conclusion, it was awesome. The entire Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain shook. Dao Comprehension Sword had been chased out of the cave abode a year ago. She was discussing this with others. Master broke through again? The three-headed WARM king asked in surprise. Yang Tiandong sighed. Master is not only cultivating diligently, but his talent is also far beyond ours. Shu Shuren was heartbroken. He had broken through again. No, I have to persuade Grandmaster. He suddenly stood up and walked towards the cave abode. However, just as he approached the cave abode's entrance, he was sent flying by a terrifying force. Vomiting blood, Yang Tiandong hurriedly caught him. The black hell chicken smiled teasingly. Yang Tiandong, you have to take care of your disciple. If his thoughts are discovered by Master, he will die very miserably. Everyone knew that Hanju was only interested in cultivation. Trying to persuade Hanju not to cultivate was definitely courting death. Yang Tiandong smiled bitterly. He looked at the unconscious Chu Shuren and felt a headache. 5 years, 5 whole years. This fellow really didn't cultivate. Unimaginable. How could there be such a person in the world who had unparalleled talent but did not want to cultivate? It was simply against the heavenly Tao. If not for Chu Shuren's rare aptitude, Yang Tiandong would have slapped him to death. When his lifespan is up, he will know that he needs to cultivate. Dao Comprehension Sword covered her mouth and laughed. Seeing Chu Shuren's attitude made her feel better. Fortunately, she did not rush to take him in as a disciple. Ada suddenly said, although he doesn't cultivate, his soul is very strong. It contains an aura that makes us siblings palpitate. Xiao Air nodded. With that said, the others couldn't help but look at Chu Shuren curiously. On the Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain, other than Hanju, no one was stronger than the two golden crows. Where did Chu Shuren come from? 14 million years of lifespan. Who else could compare to him? Hanju was really arrogant now. 1,000-year-old heaven immortal was unparalleled in the myriad worlds. But he couldn't be proud. The two little golden crows were born with Mahayana realm cultivation. Such talent was only at the bottom of the Golden Crow divine clan. It was difficult to imagine how ridiculous the number one prodigy was. Hanju suppressed his excitement and consolidated his cultivation. The Tao Field's defense has been raised to the Grand Unity True Immortal Realm. It can defend against all attacks below the Grand Unity True Immortal Realm. Congratulations on breaking through to the Reincarnation Heaven Immortal Realm. You have the following choices. 1. Immediately ascend and become an immortal god. You can obtain a heavenly Tao Spirit Stone. 2. Don't ascend for the time being. Continue cultivating. You can obtain a bottle of golden pills from the Tao sect. Hanju didn't hesitate and chose the second option. Information regarding the golden pill of the Tao sect appeared before his eyes. Tao sect golden pill. The Tao sect created a golden pill that can increase one's cultivation. It has the effect of reviving the dead, restoring the body, and increasing one's lifespan by 10,000 years. Not bad. Not bad. He could use it to save his life. Although Hanju was confident, he was not arrogant. What if his body was destroyed one day? However, could souls consume pills? The Tao sect was quite something. Hanju continued to consolidate his cultivation. A year later, his cultivation level completely stabilized at the early stage of the Reincarnation Heaven Immortal Realm. After calling Tao Comprehension Sword back in, he began to comprehend the 3 pure world cleansing in less than 5 minutes. He stepped into the Sword Dao River. Compared to before, it was a complete transformation. It had been a long time since he last saw Zhang Guxing. Hanju missed him. Of course, the most important thing was to posture. Hanju walked in front of Zhang Guxing and showed his cultivation without hesitation. Zhang Guxing sensed his aura and nodded in satisfaction. He smiled and said, "Not bad, you have reached the heaven immortal." "Wait. How did you do this? Are you possessed by an immortal emperor?" Zhang Guxing's tone was filled with fear. "This kid cultivates too quickly, it doesn't make sense." Hanju smiled and said, "There's no such thing. I cultivated diligently every day and tried my best to reach this cultivation level." Zhang Guxing said with a strange tone, "The heavenly court is going to suffer." Zhang Guxing's favorability towards you has increased. Current favorability, 5 stars. Hanju smiled in satisfaction. This good brother was really predictable. The Sword God Emperor has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 3 stars. Chap 175. Invitation from the Divine Palace. Feng Liang's cultivation potential Sword God Emperor. Curious, Hanju hurriedly checked his interpersonal relationships. Soon, he found the Sword God Emperor's portrait. The Sword God Emperor looked old, but his eyes were sharp. Sword God Emperor. Perfected Grand Unity Golden Immortal Realm, the strongest sword prodigy in the Divine Palace for 1,000,000 years. He is also Zhang Guxing's junior brother. Because he knows of your talent, he is very interested in you and wants to recruit you into the Divine Palace. Current favorability, 3 stars. Someone from the Divine Palace, perfected Grand Unity Golden Immortal Realm. He was only a step away from becoming an immortal emperor. Hanju was secretly shocked. Zhang Guxing actually had such a powerful junior. Then, he shouldn't be so weak. Why don't you go to the Divine Palace? I can help introduce you. Although the Divine Palace isn't the orthodox lineage of the immortals and gods, its power is also constantly strengthening. The heavenly court also has to give it face, Zhang Guxing said. Hanju asked in surprise, "Are you from the Divine Palace?" He couldn't help but praise his acting skills. Seeing his surprise, Zhang Guxing felt a hint of smugness. "Yes, in the past. Now, I'm all alone. It's just that I still have some connections. If you're willing to go to the Divine Palace, they will definitely not mistreat you." Hanju hesitated. Morongqi had a grudge against the Divine Palace. How could he go, now that the Dao field had been opened and his immortal qi had been strengthened? He didn't need to rely on the Divine Palace. Hanju smiled and said, "Let me think about it." Zhang Guxing said, "You can't bear to leave the people around you? It's very difficult to bring your family along on the cultivation path. Even the Grand Emperor of the Divine Palace can't protect everyone around him. It's impossible for everyone to cultivate to the Immortal Emperor realm and live forever. Even for a genius like you, if you want to cultivate to the Immortal Emperor realm, you have to rely on luck." Hanju didn't believe in ghosts, however, he didn't dare to refute Zhang Guxing. After all, he had good intentions. He smiled and said, "If there's really no other way, send me to the Divine Palace. I don't want to protect the people around me now. I just don't want to ascend." There were too many enemies in the upper world. He really couldn't ascend. Ever since he got the Dao field, Hanju's ambitions began to inflate. Ascending alone was filled with danger. He wanted to bring his disciples and grand disciples with him. The two of them chatted for a while more. Then Hanju walked around Zhang Guxing and continued forward. This time, he had to try his best to see how far he could comprehend the 3 pure world cleansing. Zhang Guxing turned to look at his back and sighed. Didn't expect that the rash brat was already a heaven immortal. How many years had it been? To Zhang Guxing, 1,000 years was like a dream. It passed very quickly. This was also why there was a saying that a day in heaven is equivalent to a year in the mortal world. Perhaps he will stir up a storm in the 6 realms. Zhang Guxing thought silently. He was actually looking forward to it. Hanju advanced step by step, surpassing the sword cultivators advancing in the Sword Dao River. The Sword Dao River ahead gradually turned purple, like a dazzling kaleidoscopic tunnel. At this point, the number of sword cultivators decreased greatly. Hanju looked back and couldn't see Zhang Gushing anymore. He took a deep breath and continued forward. Although he already felt the pressure, it wasn't to the extent where he couldn't advance. He wanted to see the limits of his comprehension of the sword Dao. After a long while, Hanju started to feel dizzy. His body felt like it was being carried by a huge mountain. Every step was very difficult. He saw a black figure ahead of him. It had been walking in front of him the entire time. Its footsteps were firm, and it did not hesitate at all. It was neither fast nor slow. Who is he? Hanju couldn't help but think. For some reason, the thought that he was inferior to the figure flashed in his mind. Hanju shook his head and continued forward. After another 20 steps, he found it difficult to move forward another step. He could only watch as the black figure left. He sighed and left the Sword Dao River. After returning to the cave abode, Hanju began to consolidate the insights he had obtained. In the following year, he raised the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow World-Piercing Sword Finger, the Firmament Sword Qi, and the Reincarnation Sword Intent to their limits. However, the level of his mystical power was still Grand Unity. Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing his enemies. While cursing, he checked his emails. Your good friend Zhou Fan has obtained the spiritual bead of the Buddhist sect. His bloodline has transformed. Your grand disciple Morong Qi broke through during the slaughter and stepped into the body integration realm. Your grand disciple Feng Liang was attacked by demon beasts, X230045. Your good friend Ji Xianchen was attacked by demon beasts, X343211. Your good friend Huang Jihao had a fortuitous encounter and obtained the sword Immortal Legacy. Your good friend Imo Fuzhou has mastered the fiendish technique and stepped into the body integration realm. Your good friend Divine General has killed an immortal emperor. His providence has increased greatly. So many opportunities. The heavenly Tao was definitely opening a back door somewhere. Hanju thought silently. He noticed that the Divine General had actually killed an immortal emperor. As expected of the immortal god with the greatest contributions in the heavenly court, according to Zhang Gushing, an immortal emperor was an undying existence. It was unknown if the Divine General had completely killed the immortal emperor or only destroyed his body. After all, he didn't see the word perished. How exciting. Hanju sighed and started paying attention to the heavenly puppets. Thought Mo Shu was still cultivating in seclusion. Fairy Shishen, Xing Hongxian, and Chang Yuer were temporarily safe. Everything went well. Hanju was very satisfied. Usually, at this juncture, the women would be a burden. Fortunately, his Dao companions were very cautious and never caused trouble for him. They could resolve things themselves. This was also the reason why Hanju cared about them. They were likable. After cursing for half a year, Hanju continued cultivating. Reincarnation Heaven Immortal was not enough. He wanted to continue breaking through. The stronger, the better. In the demon realm. Ji Xianchen stood at the peak of the mountain and looked at Feng Liang, who was fighting several demon kings in the distance. He sighed. This child's talent is indeed impressive. He's almost catching up to me. Ji Xianchen had actually heard of Feng Liang long ago. Back then, he had specially gone to find Hanju and asked about him. However, when facing Feng Liang, he had to show disinterest. After all, he was the number one in the world. How could he bicker with a junior? However, after wandering together for so many years, Ji Xianchen discovered that Feng Liang's talent far exceeded his imagination. This fellow's luck was too strong. He could always encounter fortuitous encounters and even break through in battle. It defied common sense. Ji Xianchen felt a sense of danger. He felt that he couldn't rely on his current cultivation level to relax. He still had to spend time cultivating, strive to surpass the Mahayana realm as soon as possible, and become an immortal. However, he was worried that he would be forced to ascend. How does Cao stay in the mortal world? Ji Xianchen was secretly puzzled. He decided to find Hanju later. Boom! At this moment, the rolling dark clouds in the sky erupted with endless thunder. A terrifying pressure filled the world. Ji Xianchen was moved. This pressure, he suddenly thought of Yang San. Could it be that another existence from the upper world had descended into the mortal world? Feng Liang also sensed that something was wrong and quickly retreated. The demon kings looked up and saw a scarlet eye appear in the thundercloud. It was ghastly and terrifying. It occupied most of the sky and looked down at Feng Liang, making him feel unprecedented pressure. Humph. How dare you slaughter our demons? You're courting death. A cold snort followed.